Your 5-year-old stands frozen in the doorway, shoes untied, the backpack dumped on the floor. You've already asked 3 times. Please put your shoes on. Nothing, so you do what actually works. Voice raised, counting to 3. Maybe consequences get threatened. And finally, compliance. Mission accomplished, right? Wrong, dead wrong. Here's what really just happened. You didn't teach listening. You taught your child that instructions mean nothing until you completely lose it. You trained them to wait for your explosion, to depend on your stress rather than their own brain. And here's the crazy part. Right now, Japanese 6-year-olds are walking to school completely alone while your kid needs 3 reminders just to tie shoes. It's not genetics. It's not some cultural magic trick. It's one stupidly simple rule that completely reverses how discipline actually works. A rule that wires children to control themselves from the inside. And in the next few minutes, I'm handing you the exact formula to use it in your home starting tomorrow morning. Quick question. How many times have you repeated yourself just today? Brush your teeth. Put the toys away. Come eat. And here's what's killing you inside. You're doing exactly what every parenting book told you. Clear instructions. Check. Set expectations. Check. Consequences. Check, check, check. But tomorrow morning, you'll be right back here doing the exact same dance. Because nothing ever sticks. Your child doesn't wake up thinking, time to get ready. They wait. They test. They stall until you're frustrated enough to make it happen for them. Now brace yourself, because this part stings. Every single time you remind them, you're literally teaching their brain they don't need to remember. Every time you escalate to force compliance, you're programming them to wait for escalation. This isn't their fault. Their brain is learning a pattern. I don't need to manage myself. Someone will always force me. Here's what's happening neurologically. When we rely on external control, reminders, threats, rewards, we trigger their stress response. Their prefrontal cortex, the exact part responsible for self-regulation, literally shuts down. They're not learning self-management. They're learning to react to you. And the second you leave the room, the second there's no consequence hanging over them, everything crumbles, because they've never once had to regulate themselves. Obedience versus self-discipline, the counterintuitive truth. So here's the truth that's about to mess with your head. Obedience and discipline, not the same thing. Actually, they're complete opposites. When a child obeys, they follow instructions because of you. Your presence, your enforcement, your consequences. But when a child has discipline, they regulate themselves. No one watching, no reward waiting. Even when it's brutally hard, that's not external control, that's internal wiring. And get this. In Japan, 6-year-olds navigate busy city streets to school alone. They clean entire classrooms without a single adult asking. They serve lunch to classmates, wash dishes, take full responsibility for lost items, resolve their own conflicts without adult rescue. And here's the part that seems completely impossible. No one is hovering over them forcing compliance. 0 sticker charts, 0 consequences, 0 reminders, they just do it. Now before you think, yeah, that's Japan. My kid could never. Stop right there. This isn't cultural fairy dust. This isn't mystical Eastern philosophy. This is pure neuroscience. This is how human brains genuinely build self-regulation. And it works because Japanese parents follow one brutally simple principle that Western parents completely miss. It's called Shitsuke. Written with 2 characters, body and beauty. The literal translation, teaching the body. Not controlling behavior, not commanding obedience. Teaching the body to regulate itself. Think about building muscle. You don't get stronger by watching someone else lift weights. You lift them yourself. Your muscles learn through repetition, through practice, through feeling the resistance. Discipline works identically. You cannot build self-regulation by regulating for your child. They must practice it. Their brain must experience it. Their body must learn it. And that's the rule. You don't command discipline, you cultivate it. What Shitsuke really means in Japanese parenting, full breakdown. So what does Shitsuke actually look like in real life? It's built on 4 interconnected pillars. And I'm breaking down each one because understanding why each pillar works is just as critical as knowing how to use it. First, routine as neural architecture. In Japan, children don't receive a constant stream of individual commands. They follow predictable daily sequences. Morning routine, after-school routine, bedtime routine, and here's the brain magic happening. When routines repeat consistently, the basal ganglia, the brain's habit formation center, creates automatic neural pathways. Your child's brain stops asking, "What's next?" because it already knows. The behavior becomes unconscious, effortless, self-initiated. You're not nagging, you're not reminding. The routine itself becomes the trigger. But routine alone, not enough, because most parents completely miss this next piece. Second, responsibility as competence building. Japanese children get real tasks that genuinely contribute to their household or classroom. A 3-year-old carries their own bag. A 5-year-old folds laundry. A 7-year-old prepares simple meals. But here's the critical distinction. These aren't chores assigned as punishment. These aren't tasks performed to earn praise or dodge consequences. These are contributions. The child is needed. The child is capable. The child matters. And when children feel genuinely needed, not just managed, they rise to responsibility because humans, even tiny ones, are wired to crave competence. We want to feel capable. We want to master skills. We want to contribute. Now you might be thinking, okay, routines and responsibilities, got it. But there's a third piece holding everything together, and it's the piece we destroy most often. Third, modeled calm as regulation transfer. In Japanese schools, teachers rarely raise voices. They speak quietly. They move deliberately. They embody the calm they want children to mirror. Here's what research shows: regulation is contagious. When you stay calm, your child's nervous system receives the signal. We're safe. We can handle this. Their vagal tone increases. Their prefrontal cortex stays online. But when you escalate, when your voice gets loud, when your body tenses, their nervous system mirrors that too. They escalate. Their stress response activates, and any capacity for self-control vanishes. You cannot yell a child into self-regulation. You must model it. Fourth, watchful waiting or Mimamoru. And this brings us to the foundation, the piece that makes everything else possible. This is the parent's or teacher's most crucial role. It's the Japanese concept of Mimamoru, to watch over from a distance. The active, intentional practice of not intervening immediately. Instead of rescuing or scolding, you trust them. You wait. You give their brain space to identify the problem and discover their own solution. This builds true resilience and problem-solving skills. It's not taught through lectures. It's built by the patient's trust. Over time, this teaches the child, I can solve my own problems. They develop an internal compass because they've actually had to use it. Now let me show you what this looks like when all four pieces come together. A student forgets their pencil. In most classrooms, one of two things happens. Either the teacher scolds them for being irresponsible, or the teacher rescues them by handing over a pencil. Both responses teach the same lesson: someone else will manage this for me. But watch what happens in a Japanese classroom. The teacher notices, says nothing, waits. The student pauses, checks their desk, realizes their mistake, looks around, quietly asks a classmate to borrow a pencil, apologizes, makes a mental note. The next day, they remember, not because they were punished, not because they were praised, because they experienced the natural consequence, solved the problem themselves, and their brain encoded that lesson. The teacher didn't fix the problem. The child did, and that's Shitsuke. So how do you actually implement this? Let me give you 5 concrete steps you can start using this week. And I'm getting very specific here because vague advice helps nobody. Step 1. Replace instructions with predictable routines. Stop rattling off a list of individual tasks every morning. Instead, create a visual sequence, morning routine chart on the wall. Pictures or words, whatever matches your child's age. Bathroom, get dressed. Breakfast, backpack. This is critical. You don't narrate it. You don't remind. The routine chart is the trigger. When they wake up, they check the chart. They follow the sequence. At first, you might need to guide them. What's first on your routine? But within a week, maybe 2, their brain automates it. Why does this work? Because predictability reduces resistance. When your child's brain knows what comes next, it doesn't fight the transition, it prepares for it. You're not controlling them, you're giving their brain architecture. Step 2. Transform commands into ownership questions. This is where everything shifts. Instead of "put your shoes on," you ask, "What's the next step in your morning routine?" Instead of "clean your room," you ask, "Your space needs care. What's your plan?" Now I know what you're thinking. That sounds way too soft. My kid should just listen when I tell them something. I get it. But here's what this actually looks like in practice. A child leaves their backpack in the car. The typical response, go get your backpack, you need it for school. The ownership approach, what do you need for school today? Watch what happens. The child pauses, looks around. My backpack. It's in the car. And they go get it. No argument, no resistance, no reminder. Here's the brain magic. When you give a command, their brain enters reactive mode. They're either complying or resisting, but they're not thinking. When you ask an ownership question, you activate their prefrontal cortex. You make them the agent of their own behavior. And when they make the decision, they actually follow through because it's theirs. Step 3. Practice quiet modeling instead of verbal instruction. Try something this week. When it's time to clean up toys, don't announce it. Don't remind your child. Don't say a single word. Just quietly start picking up toys yourself. Watch what happens. 9 times out of 10, your child will join you. Not because you commanded it, not because you bribed them, because you modeled it. Here's what research shows. Children learn far more from what we do than what we say. Mirror neurons in their brain literally copy our actions, our emotional states, our energy. Japanese parents understand this instinctively. They don't lecture about responsibility. They embody it. They demonstrate the calm, focused, self-regulated behavior they want their child to develop. And their children absorb it. Step 4. Assign microtasks that build real competence. Give your child age-appropriate responsibilities that genuinely contribute to your household. 3-year-old, napkins on the table, sorting laundry by color. 5-year-old, folding washcloths, preparing their own snack. 7-year-old, setting the full table, packing their own lunch. And when they do it, this is crucial, don't praise the outcome, acknowledge the action. You remembered your job. I noticed you helped without being asked. Your hands were busy taking care of things. Why does this matter? Because praise focused on outcomes creates dependency on external validation. But acknowledgement of action builds internal motivation. Your child learns, I'm capable, I'm needed, I contribute. That's competence. And competence fuels discipline. Step 5. Check your own regulation. This is the hardest step, but it's also the most important. Before you respond to your child's behavior, before you remind, before you correct, before you redirect, pause. Check your own emotional state. Are you calm? Are you regulated? Is your voice steady? Because if you're not, your child won't be either. Japanese parents practice something called gammon, patient endurance. They pause, they breathe. They respond from calm, not reactivity. And let's be honest, this is the hardest part. When a child forgets something important for the 3rd time, that familiar frustration rises. The instinct screams, I told you to check your backpack. But research on emotional regulation shows something crucial. When parents pause, take a breath, and ask instead, what do you need for school? The child figures it out on their own. Because the parent's stress wasn't helping the child remember. It was teaching them to rely on external pressure instead of internal awareness. This takes practice for both of you. But when you respond from calm instead of reactivity, you're teaching your child the most valuable lesson of all. Emotions can be managed. Impulses can be controlled. You don't have to react to every feeling. That's Shitsuke. That's self-discipline. Now you're probably thinking one of 3 things. But my child is strong-willed. This gentle approach won't work with them. Here's what research on strong-willed children reveals, and this might blow your mind. Strong-willed kids don't resist discipline. They resist being controlled. Think about it. When you give them a command, what happens? They push back, they argue, they refuse. Not because they're defiant, because their brain is wired to crave autonomy. And here's the beautiful part. That same trait that makes them resist your commands, that's the exact trait that makes them excellent self-regulators once they feel ownership. Give a strong-willed child a routine chart and say, this is your routine, you're in charge of it. Watch them become the most responsible person in your house, because you're not fighting their nature anymore. You're using it. Or maybe you're thinking, but we're not Japanese, this won't translate to our family. And you're right, we're not Japanese, but this isn't about adopting Japanese culture. This is about understanding universal developmental psychology. Children everywhere build self-regulation the same way, through repetition, through responsibility, through modeled calm. The principles don't change across cultures. The brain science doesn't change. Or maybe, and let's be brutally honest here, you're thinking, I don't have time for charts and routines and all this extra setup. I get it. You're exhausted. You're managing 1,000 things. Adding something new feels impossible. But here's the truth. The time you spend now building these habits will save you countless hours of reminding, bribing, negotiating, and battling later. Think about it this way. Right now, you're spending your time managing your child's behavior. With Shitsuke, you invest time once, then your child manages themselves. You're not adding more to your plate. You're teaching your child to carry their own. So let's bring this full circle. That morning scene we started with, the shoes, the resistance, the escalation, doesn't have to be your reality. You don't have to nag, you don't have to yell. You don't have to bribe, threaten, or battle your way through every single day. Because discipline isn't something you force onto your child. It's something their brain learns to do automatically through routines that become second nature, through responsibilities that build genuine competence, through calm that your child learns to mirror, and through the trust and space to solve their own problems, which builds an internal compass. That's Shitsuke. And it works, not because it's Japanese, but because it aligns with how children's brains actually develop self-control. If you've been relying on reminders and consequences, you haven't failed. You're learning a new skill. And you can start today. Pick one step, just one. Create that morning routine chart. Give your child one real responsibility. Practice quiet modeling. Start small. Stay consistent. Watch what changes. But here's the problem. The moment your child's nervous system gets overwhelmed, all of this collapses. The routines don't work. The self-regulation disappears, and you're back to meltdowns and shutdowns. Which is why I created the STOP method, a 4-step system that stops a meltdown in 60 seconds by resetting your child's nervous system before it spirals. It's the emergency tool that protects everything you just learned.